Hello, welcome. So today we're going to be taking a little dive into r/PettyRevenge. So if you would like to hear about how some people have got some very satisfying revenge on people today, then please do stick around and enjoy. And don't forget to like and subscribe, please. Thank you. I feel like I said people a lot there. Never mind. Anyway, quick disclaimer, any opinions that I give on the posts we read are just opinions, not facts, do not need to be taken as such. If you have a different opinion, that is okay. Do feel free to leave it in the comments below. Just make sure you're keeping it respectful. There is no need to be mean with each other because you do not agree. With that being said, let's get into it then, shall we? Okay then, first post posted by Brontosaurus. I have been flicking mint seeds in his yard all summer. Okay. There is a dangerous driver in my neighbourhood. He absolutely flies down my street. There are frequently children playing on the sidewalks and running across the street between houses. I'm frequently worried one of them is going to be hit. I hate people like that drive through like a residential area like they think they're some sort of Formula One racer. Like, mate, grow up. No one is impressed. Give it a rest already. He also twice this year has blown through the stop sign, nearly hitting my car. In April, while walking my dog, I saw this same car fly through the stop sign and pull into his garage. He may be a terrible driver, but he had a beautiful lawn. I am assuming not anymore. So, twice a day, I walk my dog past his house. This has always been the routine, but now on the shelf next to the poo bags, I have a package of peppermint seeds. As I walk past his house, I subtly sprinkle or flick these tiny seeds into his lawn. For those who don't know, mint is a very prolific grower and an aggressive spreader. Even a tiny fragment of root can grow into a new plant. Once roots are in the soil, it will continue to multiply until every last bit of root is removed. His once perfect grass has been covered in little plants all summer. It looks like he's spraying and mowing, but not pulling it up by the roots, so next year he'll have twice as much. I love that. Edit, because this has been asked frequently, I have tried to get a speed survey or speed bump installed, but need 75% of approval from the neighbourhood, and we fund it. Police have promised increased patrols, which turns out to have been a single cruiser at 6 AM. Now, why does that not surprise me? Listen, I'm not a driver. I do not use the roads in that way, but even as a passenger, even around in my little area, I can see how terrible the roads are. And the piss take is, here in the UK, we pay council tax. My council tax per month is like 139 quid, I think. And that's supposed to go on like upkeeping the area and stuff. And I know it's not specifically like for road upkeep, but it should go towards it, you know, considering it's like 140 quid basically. Anyway, last winter, around Christmas time, these potholes that they've been neglecting for ages anyway had grown into ginormous craters. And there's a bus that passes basically past my house. We have like this little town bus because my very rural town has a lot of old people. So we have like a little town bus that comes through, you know, to make sure everyone can get around and what have you. And it comes down all the little streets and estates. And obviously that tore up this bloody hole even more. And it was ridiculous to the point where the bus was having to go up onto the curb to avoid it, to obviously avoid completely wrecking the wheels. They finally fixed it, I think, after enough complaints and what have you, but it took them about 7 or 8 months to fix it. It's crazy. Like, I completely understand the gripe that this OP has with trying to get, you know, the city or whoever. Who did they say? They didn't actually say who, they just said they'd asked for a speed survey and a speed bump. I'm not sure where they are, but yeah, I completely get that, because even as someone who's not a driver, I have seen as a passenger how bad the roads are and how little your local councils care, honestly. So, down in the comments, Cryptic Bunny says, had a similar driver in my neighbourhood. The guy that lived next to me heard the car coming up the hill one day and rolled a soccer ball into the road in front of his car. The driver swerved too hard and ended up in a ditch with massive vehicle damage from a tree. Tried to convince the responding officer that he was only going 25 miles per hour. Yeah, I bet he did. I bet he did. And I bet the officer's just standing there looking at the damage thinking, yeah, sure, mate. I believe you. Not. It's not like they attend, like, God knows how many accidents like that, you know? And then Miss Hammy says, this is exactly what I did. I waited in my driveway and rolled a basketball into the street. He drove a very low vehicle and it absolutely wrecked his front bumper. He got out screaming and threatening while I just stood there smiling. I calmly said, you're lucky it wasn't one of our kids round here. We glared at each other for a minute and I never saw him on my road again. One thing I will say is don't go rolling balls in front of speeding cars. Because yeah, it might end up in them damaging their own car. But like the first one, the guy swerved and hit a tree. He could have hit a pedestrian or into someone's living room. I have actually seen that before. Like there was a car that drove through someone's bloody living room not far from me. God, this is ages ago now, ages ago. The damage was insane. Crazy. But honestly, like you get all sorts, it's especially in quiet areas. Cars especially love to like come speeding around, racing around because they think they're going to get away with it easier. I feel in more sort of rural areas because they feel like there's not going to be police around as much, which to be honest, they're obviously right because they do get away with it. But I will never forget, I was sat here at my window. My desk is by my window, sat at my window working away one day. God, this was a few years back now, a couple years ago, not that long ago, but a couple years ago. So I'm sat here working away, whatever. It's probably, I would say, about 11:30 in the morning on a weekday, and I can hear this weird screeching noise and I can hear sirens. And obviously I'm facing the window. I like to be able to look out when I'm at my desk. I like to be able to glance up, look outside, you know. If I can't touch grass, I can at least see it. So I'm just kind of like sat here because I always have the windows open and I'm listening and I'm thinking that's getting mighty close, very close. Again, I am in a very rural estate, so you can go through my street at the top and exit it at the bottom and basically go in a big friggin' circle. And I feel whoever was screeching around in this car knew that. So the next thing I see is a car barreling down my road, past my house, and then a police car like screaming sirens following them, obviously chasing them, and then another police car. And then apparently I didn't see this because it was too far up the road for me to see, but my friend who lives a little bit further up the road than me, she said the car basically it lost control and then it crashed into one of the very big gigantic trees. And obviously I saw the damage, but I didn't see it happen and I heard it. But yeah, I was just like, it is 11:30 in the morning on a weekday. Well, like, this is crazy. It's like, honestly, the things that I've seen living in such a little rural area that's normally quiet as anything, just for the fact that I happened to sit in my window at my desk. There was also this one time I was sat in my window, and the next thing I knew, these two people that are having a bit of a row, and this one bloke who's trying to break them up, they kind of like, all of a sudden, they just wander onto my front lawn and start beating the shite out of each other. I was just like, what is going on? So I just shouted out the window like, can you not? And then they ran off and they got arrested further up the road again. My friend saw that. She actually caught it on her Ring camera, which was hilarious. But honestly, again, for someone who keeps themselves to themselves, I see a lot. I see an awful lot. Anyway, you don't want to listen to my ramblings of my reclusiveness. Let me carry on with reading the post. Oh my goodness. I do just go off on a tangent quite often, don't I? I need to pack it in. Stay focused, Void. Focus! Goodness me. So, next post, posted by JustVibes189, got my doctorate. Well done you. My stepdad has a much larger age gap with his siblings, which makes my aunt about the same age as me. She went on to earn her PhD in veterinary medicine, and good for her. I earned a Master's of Social Work, MSW, because that was all I needed at the time for my career. I had a lot going on in my life. Fast forward several years, my grandfather, who was a veteran, was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis and needed all the help he could get. I was helping him navigate the VA, Medicare, home health services, and other aspects of his care. As a veteran myself, I was already familiar with the VA, and as a master's level social worker, I knew a thing or two about coordinating these services. That is very lucky that your grandfather had you. Like, very lucky, because, yeah, I can only imagine what a nightmare it is trying to, pick your way through all those different services and forms, and oh my goodness, it sounds like a nightmare. In the middle of all this, my aunt started arguing with me. She insisted that someone with a doctor title should really be in charge, even though she was fighting against her own father's wishes and making the situation more difficult. I finally said, you know what? I'm getting my doctorate just to spite her. I love that. That's great. My grandfather was so proud that he bragged about it to the whole family. My greatest achievement wasn't just earning my Doctor of Social Work, DSW, it was the fact my grandfather was able to see me graduate and that I was able to care for him at the end of his life. I love that. It's like, do you know what? You could get like revenge by doing all sorts of different things, but like the sweetest revenge is literally just bettering yourself and watching them kind of like pout about it. So, down in the comments, poor GT75 says, should have told her you'd let her know if your grandfather needed deworming. Oh my god. And then Homicidal Hush Puppy said, or if his anal glands needed expressed. Ew. Gross. Needle Bearing says, when he starts scooching his butt on the carpet, it's time. So next post, posted by Membership Complex 850. My co-worker kept taking my desk chair, so I slowly ruined his favourite one. We have those office chairs where some are fine and some feel like they were built as punishment. I'm convinced that some are, honestly. I bought an office chair to put at my desk, and I say this in brackets that you can't see, obviously, finger brackets, because I'm pretty sure that it was just actually a torture chair built in the medieval times. It said it was supposed to be ergonomic and good for your spine. Yeah? Well, tell that to my spine because it disagrees. I ended up buying a gaming chair and that's done me pretty well. And I put roller skate wheels on it because it kept sort of like getting stuck in the carpet fibers. And since I put the roller skate wheels on, I tell you what, I could go places on this if I wanted to. Fast as fuck, boy. I finally found one that didn't destroy my back and kept it at my desk for months. Then this guy from the row behind me started taking it whenever I worked from home. At first, I just rolled it back in the evenings. Then, one afternoon, I was on my phone playing Big Roller standing outside the meeting room while waiting for a meeting to start, and watched him walk over, grab my chair, and roll it back to his desk like I wasn't there because apparently his chair sucked. I asked him twice to stop, but he kept doing it. Wait, what is Big Roller? I just had to search up Big Roller to make sure that it wasn't like some sort of sneaky ad that someone was trying to make into a post. I don't think it is. When I searched it up, it's basically just saying like there's loads of different games like roller coaster or like big massive or games where it's like a big boulder or whatever that you have to run from. So I don't think this is an advertisement, but I just wanted to double check. But if anyone finds out that it is, put it down in the comments because I looked it up and I couldn't find it. I was basically trying to make sure that it wasn't gambling because they sneak them in all the time. Whenever someone specifically mentions the name of something that they're playing, I like to search it up just to make sure it's not one of those gambling apps, but I couldn't find anything. So, one Friday before leaving, I swapped my chair with the worst chair in our section. Same model, looks almost identical, except it slowly sinks while you sit in it, and one wheel randomly locks up. I left that one at my desk and moved my good chair into an empty office nobody uses. Monday morning, he came over, grabbed the chair from my desk like usual, and rolled away without even looking at me. He used it for almost 2 weeks. Every few hours, I'd see him pull the lever and raise himself back up because the seat kept sinking. Eventually, he got annoyed enough to stop stealing it and went back to his own chair. My good one came out of hiding the next day. He hasn't touched it since, although I actually think he was doing it to annoy me because who frickin' uses a bad chair for that long out of spite? Probably. Some co-workers are just the worst. So, down in the comments, Aggravating Egg 8343 says, when my mum worked in an office, she had a special chair that was bought specifically for her. One of the overnight crew would take it and fully readjust everything on it and then try and hide it, so my mum couldn't find it. She tried locking it in her manager's office at the end of her shift. Her manager gave her a key, but the overnighter either picked the lock or somehow climbed into the office, one of the crappy cubicles with no ceiling and a door handle that auto unlocked from the inside, and would still do everything to it and hide it. She even tried hiding it in another manager's office. Same thing. It got to the point that no matter where she put it, this dude would turn into a bloodhound. So she got a bike lock and locked it to her desk. That's amazing. Fix the problem. It still makes me laugh, but it still irritates her that she had to get down on the ground every day to lock it up by the pole. Edit autocorrect turned crappy into scrappy. So Run Wombat says, why didn't management, manage the dude and tell them to stop taking the chair? And then Aggravating Egg says, if I recall what my mum told me, they couldn't actually prove who was taking a chair. Well, yeah, because if there's a few night staff, it's going to be pretty tricky to prove who's doing it. And not all, offices have cameras and stuff. So I know no offices that I have ever worked in have had cameras. It's only quite recently that a lot of offices have started doing that around where I am in the UK anyway. We're usually the last to get everything, which is a good thing and a bad thing. So, Emo Gamer Boy XXX says, I signed my Xbox up for notifications regarding a donation in honor of a guy he wrote up who turned out to have cancer. Oh my goodness. So yeah, content warning for discussions of cancer. I don't know how in depth to that we go in this one, but I know that that can be a bit of a touchy subject for some people, not something that they really like to hear about. So if that is you, I will either put up some text now saying the timestamp for the next story, or if this ends up being the last story we read, then I will just not bother and you'll know that you can leave now and you won't be missing anything. So yeah. Not sure if this counts as petty, but I'll cross-post to PettyRevenge if it is. Some backstory, my ex-boss was the bane to my existence when I worked for him. This story isn't about me though, it's about the manager he treated poorly up until he died from cancer. Oh my goodness. This manager, let's call him Jacob, was amazing. When I got hired, he was who did my interview and he was very upfront about the expectations of the job and overall a very nice man. Our job isn't exactly a modest one, but he said it was thanks to us that the corporate could run smoothly and without us it wouldn't succeed. A year or two in, corporate hired his new boss. Let's just call him Dale. Let's call him Knobhead. Knobhead already had a bad reputation in the corporation with other facilities, and he wasn't exactly the nicest. My brother was also familiar with Knobhead in the corporation, and when he heard he was the new chief, my brother got frustrated. Needless to say, Knobhead was not a favourite with customers. How he got this job is beyond me. My manager oversaw our department and another department, and there were two other managers who saw over the other two 2 departments. 4 departments in total, with Jacob overseeing 2. This used to be a 2-manager job. Jacob had been asking for them to hire a second manager again so the workload wasn't so overwhelming. Both of these departments are the biggest, basically around 75 people, while the other 2 were only of about 30, and eventually they hired a second person, a woman. After about a year, Jacob confessed our new boss had been writing him up over and over again for super minor things, like paint jobs not being the good shade of red, or not staying over to help out when he was leaving at scheduled times. He told us in all his years of working there, and even anywhere at all, he's never been written up. He was less than 5 years away from retiring and was talking about spending the remaining years working at McDonald's just to get away from the hostile environment. Corporate was not doing anything, and HR was basically accusing him of making it up, and sided with Knobhead that Jacob deserved the write-ups. We were on to our spring projects when news came that, during an interview, Jacob fell asleep. The woman, let's call her Kathy, told Knobhead that she was concerned for his health. Kathy is a case of her own. She had no experience in our department and only got the job because her office was next to Knobhead's, despite multiple qualified people applying for it. Individual leaders of group projects across the company applied, some who had 15 plus years of experience. Most of us didn't like Kathy because she'd give us a project that really never made any sense, or suggest an idea that virtually couldn't work, or would make the project longer to complete. See, these are the kinds of steps that eventually will drive a business into ruin. Like, what are the higher-ups doing? Knobhead put Jacob on temporary leave, but then instantly hired a replacement. The replacement was a kid, barely an adult, 18 years old, and also had no experience. Now our department was ran by people who had no idea what they were doing. According to one of my senior co-workers, she saw Knobhead and the replacement at church together, always talking. I was gonna say, does Knobhead have some personal dealings with this person he decided to put into a manager's role? Fresh at 18, with no experience. Now, I'm not saying an 18-year-old can't do a good job, but this particular one has no experience, and, you know, how could they have manager's experience at 18-year-old? And has only been put into the position because they know Knobhead. So, you can imagine how annoyed we were. Yes, I can. So now, considering Knobhead having written Jacob up numerous times, we suspected he was going to fire him, regardless if this was a health concern or not. Turns out it was. Jacob had learned a month later, after a lot of visits to the doctor, head scans, blood work, he had lymphoma, secondary lymphoma that travelled to his brain. Only a day or two after he found out, he passed away. It broke all of our hearts to hear that. While grieving, I decided to skip straight to the anger stage, and I would grieve my own way after I felt like I got my revenge. I went to St. Jude's Cancer Research page and signed up to donate once a month to the lymphoma research, with my money, but with his work email and work address. If you've ever donated to St. Jude, they let you choose to donate the amount in honour of someone, in which case I chose Jacob. My boss would then get an email thanking him in honour of his donation to Jacob for lymphoma cancer research. I don't even care if he cancels the subscriptions to the emails. I just wanted him to get the single one email thanking him for the donation, and maybe some mail about donating. This happened many years ago, but I felt like sharing. To honour Jacob, I bought a pinned Asian blue bee with a paper in the display that says, "Be thoughtful." It's a reminder to always be thoughtful of what other people are going through. Yeah, Knobhead sounds absolutely awful. But could you not have, like, signed him up to some predatory religious organisations instead that will turn up at his house constantly? Or send him letters constantly? That's what I'd do. Or like sign him up by his email address for like all the newsletters you can find online. Newsletters about all the weirdest stuff as well. Just to be really annoying. So, down in the comments, Bluefoot says, make another donation. See if you can get Knobhead's home address. St. Jude fundraising will be sending him mail for decades. And then OP says, this is actually probably possible. I wonder if he ever did cancel it. We're coming close to the date he was put on leave and close to the day Jacob passed away. I think it would be a good time to figure it out so he can be reminded. So, next post, Tight Steak 232 says, I insist you take the last one. Hubby and I went grocery shopping for our upcoming vacation. We like to do spoils since we only take this one in-state vacation every year. We like a prime rib night, seafood night, baby back rib night, etc. I'm confused what spoils means. Does that literally mean like stuff that will go off the next day? I'm confused. We call it just like the reduced aisle. But yeah, anything that can be frozen, get it from the reduced aisle and just stick it in the freezer. It's a good way to save yourself a little bit of money. The local grocery store has an outstanding meat department. Generally, preceding holidays, they'll have specials where the high-end meats are really marked down. This is when we normally would buy our prime rib. We were broke during the last holiday sale, 4th of July, so we missed it. Fortunately, they had another sale and the prime rib was marked $6 off per pound. Yay us! We are on the one end of the counter checking out the seafood because the employee is currently serving another customer and he's wrapping up her last item. I wander over while he's helping her and I notice there is only one prime rib left. It's not well trimmed at all and has almost no calotte, the cat part that tastes the best, but the price is right. I told my husband it was the last one and the woman being helped happened to glance at what I was discussing. The employee hands her her wrap package and turns to help me. Excuse me? She points to the rib I saw and said, can you wrap that up for me as well? I turned to her, bummed. Seriously? I ask. I was here first. She insists, and she grimaces at me sarcastically. Wipe that smile off her face. I go to the end and tell my hubby we'll have to come up with plan B since they're out of rib. That other woman grabs her rib roast and grins again as she walks away. Mentally, both birds are flying and I'm uttering hieroglyphics. The employee comes to me and said, she never asked, but I have one more prime rib in the back. Would you like to see it? I'll take it, sight unseen, and I nod. He brings out a beautifully trimmed prime rib, probably a pound or so larger than the fatty one we lost, and it has an absolutely massive calotte on it. He offered to take another $1 off per pound because it was larger than the one I didn't get. It made our day. But the thing that made it even better, we got in the checkout lane ahead of the rib heist lady. My husband unloaded absolutely everything before the roast, then picked it up and set it right under her nose. He said, they did just so happen to have one really nice one in the back. Enjoy yours. When the clerk scanned the meat, she first said, oh, I know where I'm coming for dinner, then added, nice, they gave you a discount, lucky you. Hubby just turned and grinned at her. She didn't grin back. I love that. I love it as well when like employees just go, no, I saw that and I'm with you. We're gonna get our own back in a good way. So down in the comments, Negative Lie 1823 says, I love when employees are nice. Me too. OP then says, this grocer has really great meat department staff members. We had saved turkey stamps, save 36 and you get a free 12 to 14 pound bird. Save 50 and you get a 15 to 17 pound bird. And save 60 to get 18 plus pounds. We had 59 stamps at the end of the special and gave it to them. He just looked at me and asked how close I was to the 60th stamp. I told him about $95 away from it, not even close. He stamped it anyway and gave me a 22 pound turkey. I love that. That's so cute. Aww. Okay, I know we're on a long one today, but I'm going to read this last one that I saved because why not? So, Keyboard Bastard says, my boss wanted me to falsify invoices, so I gave him a hardware problem my last 2 weeks. I was a system administrator at a company and the domain admin, meaning I could manage user profiles and start up scripts. One of the directors asked me to do something I absolutely wasn't comfortable with: alter invoices after they were generated so clients would be billed for work that wasn't actually performed. Highly illegal, surely. What the hell? The extra money helped make his department look more profitable. He knew I was one of the 2 people in the company with access to Photoshop and assumed I was morally bent in his favour. I was not. I refused, I told my boss, and when my boss did nothing, I put in my notice. A few weeks later, I was already in my final 2 weeks with the company, and he pushed again to alter a bunch of invoices, this time claiming it was an approved thing from accounting. Ah, yes, because I'm sure accounting is like, yeah, you just steal these clients' money. Go for it. I refused again, but this time I also decided he could experience a small IT mystery. I wrote a simple batch script that randomly rebooted a computer between 5 to 10 minutes after startup and added it to his profile startup script through Active Directory. He knew I had access to everyone's machines, but he assumed it was a hardware issue because they were experiencing them for a full year across his department. I love that. After about 5 random reboots, he called me into his office to fix it. The director went to lunch and I sat down at his computer, stared at the screen, and began my extremely advanced troubleshooting process. I ate Skittles from the jar on his desk for around 5 minutes. I told him I'd keep an eye on it. He never figured it out. The funniest part is that my own IT manager had no idea what startup scripts were, so a file named something boring like cmosupdates.bat was enough to fly under the radar. I left the company. A week later, this old director started contacting me, demanding I finished a project I had committed to, unpaid. It was something my replacement could handle. I ignored the messages, blocked his number, and moved on. Perpetual reboot insanity.bat lives on in legend now. I love that. Oh my goodness, so that's so bad what he was asking you to do. Like, yeah, definitely. Kudos to the OP for realizing that is the perfect time to exit stage left. So, down in the comments, Cunius Maximus says, when they ask you to do work after you leave, that's when you bust out the consulting rate, which is 3 times what they were paying before you left. And then user fake super says, 10 times, 3 times is lowballing it. Exactly. Know your worth, queen. Okay then, so I feel like that's all we've got time for today after I have spectacularly waffled. I do wonder how much we'll have left on the time on this once I've edited it down, because there's quite a few bits where I have to stop and be like, where I'm trying to engage my brain. Like when I'm trying to think about what I think about the stuff we're reading, sometimes I know straight off the bat my thoughts, but now and then I have to just sit there and collect them. And by now and then I mean often. Because sometimes I'll read them and I'm like, wait, what did I just actually read? And I have to go back and reread it for a minute. And I think sometimes you can tell when I've had a moment like that, because it's like, I've read nearly the whole post before I'm like, wait, hold on a minute. And then I'm like, okay, so this is my thoughts on it. Now I've actually processed the information. But yeah, I wonder how long it will be once I've whittled it down. Anyway, if you made it all the way to the end with me, then I appreciate you very, very much. If you give a little like, subscribe, notifications on, that is your initiation into the Coven Void. Welcome. Don't forget to slap the hype button, slap Big Al, tell him that he's a naughty boy. Apparently now, YouTube's been messing around with the algorithms and the way it counts views and stuff again. Apparently still views don't count to how it pushes you out anymore. Likes and comments count towards how the algorithm pushes you out to people, but how it counts views, apparently it's now counting the real views, not just like after so much. So I don't understand it completely, but from what I was reading in the email they sent, up until now, they didn't count all of your views as views, which crazy to me, but okay. So yeah, who knows? It'll be interesting to see if there is a difference from now. I haven't seen one yet, and I got that email a few days ago. So yeah, keep an eye on that, I will. Anyway, whatever it is you're doing for the day, I hope you have a really good rest of the day. Goodbye.